You were born into a system you never agreed to. Before you could speak, before you could question, before you could even form a single independent thought, the game had already begun. Rules were written, roles were assigned, expectations were installed into your nervous system like software running in the background. You didn't choose what success means. You didn't choose what love should look like. You didn't choose what happiness is supposed to feel like. It was all handed to you, quietly, repeatedly, until it became your own voice. And that is the first illusion. Because the most dangerous prison is not the one you can see. It's the one you believe is your home. You wake up, you move through life, you chase goals, you feel desire, you make decisions, and all of it feels like it belongs to you. But at some point, if you are honest enough, if you are still enough, a question begins to surface. A quiet, uncomfortable question that doesn't go away. Whose life am I actually living? Is this truly what I want? Or is this what I was taught to want? That question is the beginning of the fracture, the moment where the illusion starts to crack. Because what we call reality is not as solid as it appears. Ancient traditions understood this long before modern science tried to measure it. They described the world not as a fixed structure, but as a projection, a living, breathing illusion, shaped by the mind itself. Not fake, not meaningless, but not ultimate. You are not just inside reality, you are participating in it. And most people never realize this. They move through life chasing desires that were never truly theirs. Human beings do not naturally know what to want. They copy, they imitate, they absorb desire from others, like a mirror, absorbing light. You don't want the car because of the engineering. You want it because someone else made it desirable. You don't want the lifestyle because it fulfills you. You want it because it was presented as success. And so you run. You climb, you chase, you compete. Not toward freedom, but inside a loop. This is the matrix, not a machine, not a simulation in the literal sense, but a closed system of borrowed desire running through your consciousness. A loop that feeds itself. A loop that feels real because everyone around you is inside it too. And yet, there is a way out. Not by escaping the world, not by destroying the system, but by ascending through it. By moving through layers of awareness that most people never even realize exist. The first level is where almost everyone lives and dies without ever questioning anything. It is the level of unconscious participation. You wake up with desires that feel natural. You want success. You want validation. You want recognition. You want comfort. You tell yourself, this is who I am. This is what I want. But you are not aware that those desires were installed long before you could choose them. At this level, you are not thinking your thoughts. You are receiving them. Like an antenna tuned to a broadcast you never chose. Entire systems exist at this level. Massive psychological structures built from collective attention. Narratives that feed on belief. Expectations that replicate across millions of minds. You step into them, and they feel like reality itself. But they are patterns, repeating patterns. And they run on one thing, your energy. The system needs you to feel incomplete. Because a person who feels complete stops chasing. And a person who stops chasing stops fueling the machine. So insecurity is manufactured. Desire is amplified. Comparison is normalized. You are kept running. Not because there is a finish line, but because the movement itself sustains the system. You consume. You achieve. You upgrade. And still, something feels missing. That emptiness is not a flaw. It is a signal. And eventually, for some people, that signal becomes too loud to ignore. This is where the second level begins. The awakening is not peaceful. It is not beautiful. It is not some gentle realization that everything is fine. It is a disruption, a fracture in perception. Something breaks. A relationship collapses. A career loses meaning. A belief falls apart. Or maybe it's just a quiet moment in the middle of the night where you realize, this isn't it. This can't be it. You start to see through things. The systems that once felt solid begin to look artificial. The structures you trusted start to feel staged. You notice patterns. You notice contradictions. You see that much of what you believed in is built on appearances rather than truth.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy.
Images, narratives, performances, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You look at success differently. You look at status differently. You look at the world and realize that much of what people are chasing is not real fulfillment, but validation within a system that never intended to satisfy them. But this level is dangerous, because awareness without clarity becomes resentment. You stop believing in the illusion, but you start hating it. You see people still trapped in it, and instead of compassion, you feel distance, superiority, frustration. You define yourself by what you reject instead of what you understand, and the system still holds you. Because hate is still attachment. You are still reacting, still engaged, still emotionally tied to the thing you claim to reject. And as long as you react, you are not free. You are just another expression of the system, wearing a different mask. Eventually, the exhaustion sets in. Fighting becomes pointless. Arguing becomes empty. Resisting becomes draining. And so you do something unexpected. You withdraw. This is the third level. You step away from the noise. You reduce your inputs. You disconnect from the constant stimulation. You simplify. You let go of unnecessary desires. You stop participating in the endless cycle of comparison and consumption. For the first time, there is silence. And in that silence, there is relief. You begin to feel what life is like without constant pressure, without constant noise, without constant chasing. You reclaim your attention, your energy, your presence. This stage feels like freedom, but it is incomplete because your peace depends on separation. You are calm as long as nothing disturbs you. You are stable as long as you are removed from chaos. But the moment you are placed back into the world, something inside you reacts again, which means the system is still there, just quieter. You escaped the game, but you didn't understand it. And so eventually, something deeper must happen, something far more radical. The fourth level is where the illusion doesn't just crack, it dissolves. Not the world, not the system, but the one who is experiencing it. You begin to see that every version of yourself you've ever identified with was constructed. The ambitious version, the rebellious version, the spiritual version. All of them were roles, stories, identities built to create a sense of control. And when you see that clearly, something collapses. You are no longer trying to become anything. You are no longer trying to fix yourself. You are no longer trying to escape. You are simply aware. There is no attachment, no resistance, no need to control outcomes. The world continues, but you are no longer entangled in it. Events happen, but they do not define you. Thoughts arise, but they do not own you. There is just observation. And in that observation, there is a kind of freedom that cannot be taken away, because it does not depend on circumstances. It does not depend on success. It does not depend on identity. It simply is. But even this is not the end, because life continues. The body remains. The world is still there. And so naturally something else emerges. The final level, you return, not as the same person who left, not as someone seeking validation, not as someone escaping, but as someone who understands. You step back into the game, but now you know it is a game, and that changes everything. You can participate without being controlled. You can build without attachment. You can engage without losing yourself. You can play roles without becoming them. You might pursue success, but not because you need it. You might build something meaningful, but not because it defines you. You might love, but without possession. You might act, but without fear of the outcome. This is not detachment from life. This is mastery within it. You are no longer reacting. You are creating. The system still exists, but it no longer owns you, because you are no longer operating from unconscious patterns. You are aware, and awareness is the one thing the matrix cannot control. Most people never reach this level. They remain in the loop, chasing or resisting, running or fighting, consuming or rejecting. But the path is always there, not hidden, not locked, just unseen, because the door was never closed. It was only held shut by the version of you that believed it needed to stay inside. And the moment you let go, the game changes. Not because the world changes, but because you do. And from that moment forward, it's your move. I wish you all the best. And until next time.